You're listening to Once Upon a Mama. I'm your host, Molly Ann Luna. Each week, we call my mom, the original Ma, Barb Ripley, to talk about ways of navigating motherhood at different ages and different stages. Because after all, once a mama, always a mama. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Molly, what's up?
I gotta say, I am loving that you posted inside of the Mindful Mamas community, and I am really loving this post that you put. You wrote, "Believe in yourself so strongly that the world can't help but believe in you too."
I found that the other day because I'm trying to live that way, but I'm struggling with it right now.
What's going on? Why are you struggling?
Well, I didn't have a very good trip last week. I always, my job is as good as my crew. And not that there was anything specifically wrong, but my one flight attendant was has a very, very strong personality. And I think I've just come to discover that I don't do well around people with a strong opinion and a strong personality. And I got to thinking about our last podcast when you were talking about you believe that, babies choose to come to you over this or that. And I just kept my mouth shut because that's not really how I feel. And I thought, well, I don't want to make her mad. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But yeah, I guess that's one of my problems. I need to stand up for what I believe in too. And I'm just struggling with that because I'm like, girl, what do you mean the baby picks you? That doesn't work that way. But
Yeah, you do. You totally need to stand up for you and be okay that you have your own unique opinions and viewpoints, because if you don't share your own perspective, I personally feel like you're robbing the world of being able to experience the contrast.
yeah, I feel a little wishy-washy sometimes. Like I feel like I'll waver. Like I'll go, if I'm with this person, I'll go this way. And then with that person, I'll go that way. And sometimes like I don't have my own opinion. And if I do, I try to bring it out kind of sarcastically. So that got taken wrong on this last trip. So the lady confronted me and I don't like confrontation.
Ooh, so why did you decide to put a spin of sarcasm on what you wanted to say?
Do you know me?
I do know you, but we are here to uncover real stuff. Because here's the thing, you're my mom. And part of the reason I'm doing the work that I'm doing is because I know there are other moms out there, and even myself included, who have this inner critic inside of ourselves that sometimes, I like to call her my inner mean girl, sometimes she ain't so nice. And
I
she's got to be put in place.
I know, but in my way, I was like, I mean, I felt like I wasn't being mean. I thought if you go sarcastic, okay, so I'll tell you the story. So we had a lot of different captains and first officers coming and going, very unusual, to have that many different ones. And the gal up front was just very, like, some of them, maybe she knew, like, we're kind of a huggy community, the
Oh,
airline industry.
what's the slogan? But there's a big heart.
Yeah.
Love? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
Yeah.
slogan is, but
Yeah. Well, ours is LUV love,
yeah.
but so she was just kind of getting like, so I kind of said to the other gal, I'm like, wow, she getting all the love. Of course, that's not me. Like I wouldn't go up and hug on these people. Like after I've flown with them for 3 days, I'll give them a hug goodbye, like another flight attendant, male or female, whatever. But that was just like the first day. And I said to the other one, I'm like, why is she getting all the love? Kiddingly, kind of. She goes, well, she's single. She can, she's a mother of 3, but she's single, so that's okay because we were both married and we just um, have different views on that, I guess. I don't know. So anyway,
I'm not following this. I'm sorry, I don't think I'm following the story. So this is a flight attendant and she's hugging the other crew members, or all?
other like every pilot and every first officer that comes on the plane.
You were hating because you didn't get yourself a hug.
No, I don't do that. I just thought she was awfully very friendly. So I just kind of said, well, how come she's getting all the love? I didn't want the love, but I just thought it was a little weird that she was kind of being so friendly with
Was
everybody.
it to the women and the men, or just the men?
I felt like it was just the men.
Oh, okay. So you're feeling like maybe she's coming from like a more flirtatious stance?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes. I
So
felt like
you
she was
wanted
very
to share your opinion that like this behavior is kind of not okay in the workplace, but you did like a sarcastic spin on it.
yeah,
Or
kind
what's
of.
your opinion?
Well, and so the other gal told me, she's like, well, she's not married like us, so that's probably, more okay for her to act like that. Or she just has a strong personality and she just likes to be friendly. So for about the third or fourth set that was coming on, I come from the back because I was working the back, and you were supposed to go up and meet him. And I sarcastically said, well, who you hugging and kissing on now? Well, that was me trying to be funny, and that was her getting very upset about that. She came back and confronted me later about it. And so then I
Shut
just
down?
I shut down. I was like deer in the headlights look, because I don't like confrontation. And we both had talked about how she's just a very confident person. She's a good flight attendant. She's not a bad flight attendant. She's not a bad person. She has a very strong personality. And then I was just really struggling on the trip last week. So I think I was just really feeling less and less and less. Not her fault. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
But
good
it's
self-awareness.
Yeah, but it's bugging me because I got to go to work tomorrow. And who am I going to be working with? Like,
So yeah, this is a red flag. I heard you say this in the beginning of our call, and you said your trip or your flight's only as good as your crew, or something along those lines of meaning like
mhm.
I'm only going to have a fun time or a good time as long as I'm surrounded by people that I know, like, and trust and can feel more secure around.
Yeah,
And with this particular woman, she's very confident. She exuded the confidence. She's very affectionate, outgoing. And for some reason, her her ability to just be her outgoing self made you feel less than.
I, yeah, I guess that. And then I had some trouble with my serving too. But no, I didn't serve next to her. I served next to the other gal, but I was struggling, and I was in the back. I was by myself a lot, and they were up front. And you know how it is with three girls. You always want to have a guy in the mix for a flight attendant crew. You always want to have at least one guy in there.
That paradigm needs to shift, because if anybody should be working in a harmonious relationship at all times, it should be us as women. we should be
Yeah.
we should be a united front, especially in this day and age. We should be a united front. But I understand where you're coming from. Being one of three daughters of
Right.
sisters wasn't always harmonious. So I understand where you're coming from there. But so I think what I'm interested in is why the lack of self-confidence.
I don't know, because I'd been doing so well. I'd been enjoying it so much. And so I think I'd been quite a long time. When you're up front, you're just working next by yourself. So I was in the back working next to this other flight attendant. She was like doing her drinks 3 times as fast as I was doing mine. And she's like, "Oh, I'll show you. It's easy." Well, she showed me, and I built my tray. Not only did I build it backwards, then when I got out there, I couldn't. It was dark. It was a nighttime. I couldn't see and who got what, and it just crumbled down to like no self esteem whatsoever.
Hmm.
And then I don't know. So I found this out back in high school too, that I moved to Clarendon at the same time this other person moved, same exact time. And she had the same school colors from her old school that we had at the new school. So I assumed, per her personality, that she's been here forever. And when I found out she's been here just as long as I had, but I'm still standing in the back like, oh, I'm the new kid. Those people, that I just don't know how to deal with that. Like, do you have an opinion about that?
About somebody
I
who
mean,
just like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do me.
I'm here.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this post that you posted inside the Mindful Mamas community, believe in yourself so strongly that the world can't help but believe in you too. Doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. We could look at the president, we could look at top celebrities right now, we could look at political leaders, anybody who's out there doing anything that you would deem successful. They didn't start out that way. They started out feeling like cowardice, and probably some of the most profound speakers that you can think of didn't start out that way, but they had slowly built their confidence through consistent, persistent repetitive action. I can say that for myself even, now I am an aspiring American on-air personality who loves being in front of the camera. But if you would have watched, you can go to YouTube. In fact, don't do it. I'm scared, but you can go and watch me, 5 years ago, some of the first videos I made. I do not look like a confident woman. Like my neck would turn red. My voice was much more shaky. I said a lot more ums and uhs and whatnots. But you build it by just continuously doing it.
Well, I've been doing a lot. So that's the person up front that welcomes people, does the announcements, and I'm very confident in that now. And then I had to switch positions and I was like, oh wait, what do I do here? And you're also not with the people. And I've discovered about myself that the reason I love this job so much is I feed off the energy. I always used to think that was weird when you'd say energy, but I get
We're
it.
all energy. Everything.
I know, but I always thought that was a woo-woo thing you used to say all the time, like, well, energy, schmenergy. But yeah, like if I'm in the middle or in the front of the plane greeting all the passengers, getting to meet them, I'm a much happier person than sitting in the back waiting to take a drink order, handing them their drink in the dark, picking up the trash, and not interacting with them. That's not what I want to do.
This is so interesting because you've only been working this job for like maybe 2 years. And
Almost, yeah.
first started, I remember how fearful you were to work position A, to be,
I know.
the leader of the plane, so to speak. And now you're craving it. So it's interesting that then when you are given the opportunity to take more of a is it fair to say more of a subordinate role? Well, maybe
No, not really. It's just less interacting with the passengers.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, it's not actually, I have to do an announcement in the back too, but my phone wasn't working. So I had to keep just kind of giving them the thumbs up and have them do it. But no, it's not a less role. It's just you're not with the people. You're not getting that energy from the people. It's a lonely role.
I'm glad that you bring that up because that is, well, I'm like, how do I want to phrase this so that it does not offend, but I still get my point across, but maybe it will offend. So
No offense, but
I know. Previous episode, go back and listen to that. Once upon an offensive comment. No offense, but when here's the thing, if I could just shake every woman, including you, especially you, because you're my mom, and just shake you and say like, but you don't need to get energy from people. You don't need to get validation from somebody else. You are enough just as you are. In fact, we as women, and specifically as mothers, we are ultimate creators who don't need to get energy. We create it. I mean, hello, do you see this beautiful woman in front of us? We're doing our Zoom call, and this video feed is over on our Patreon account. So if you want to see how beautiful I look today, you've got to come be a Patreon. But Barb Ripley, my mother, do you see this divine, beautiful energy that you pushed out of your vagina into the world? It is me.
You're too much. You're too much.
Listen, like you didn't have to go get energy. Well, maybe like a wham bam, thank you for baby paste moment, but beyond that, you weren't like siphoning energy from outside of yourself to create this woman named Molly Ann Luna. You did that on your own. So this feeling of like needing to get energy, that's gotta go, girlfriend.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. Like it just brings me happiness. Like
when somebody, it brings you happiness when somebody's like, good job. You did good. I love you. The gratitude and the validation.
Probably. That's probably why I did daycare for so long, because all these little kids they just like, hey, you're fantastic.
Thanks for letting my poop.
No, but I'm just like, they look at you like you're just the end all be all. And
you're a goddess. You are.
But it's easy because they're just little ones. And then when you have adults that don't think you're that great, or you said something that they took wrong, it gets you.
Flying across the globe in a tin can, squeezed like sardines with a bunch of other smelly adult humans, and they don't think you're the most fabulous. I mean, yeah.
Well, I've heard you just have to get over that. You're just like, you know what? You just say, sorry you feel that way and just go on. But you're in an airplane, there's no place to go.
Yeah.
So I tend to over explain than what I meant. And then I go too far and I'm just like, it's really been eating at me this week. Like I am so dreading going to work tomorrow.
What is the biggest problem? So it sounds like this woman was exuding a large amount of confidence, and for some reason you've chosen to allow yourself to feel less than. What exactly is like been eating at you and is giving you anxiety about going to work this next week?
Because what am I going to say or do that's, and who am I, what type of personalities am I going to work with? What am I going to say or do that's going to bring me back into that same bad feeling situation? But I also have had great situations. So I talked to my friend Eric, and he's like bringing me back. He talked to me for like 2 hours on the phone the other day while I'm on the treadmill. And he's like, listen, girl, you got to straighten up. This is what you got to do. And he tells me how he handles situations, and it's so enlightening. Like he had some hard situations with passengers and flight attendants, and he gives me his stories. And I'm like, oh, that would have been so much better to do or say, or 2020 kind vision.
So it sounds like you just have to allow yourself to start trusting yourself.
It was just one of those, I need to call my mom moments, and she's not there. And then I called my husband, and he didn't get it. He's probably thinking to himself, yeah, you said the wrong thing. You should have probably just kept your mouth shut, you
You
know?
didn't want to call your daughter because she would just tell you to say, get some confidence.
Get some confidence. Yeah.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that you're bringing this up and that you're being authentic and real, because here's the thing. We all struggle with this to some degree. I exude more confidence now, but I'm not always confident, not always. I can be my biggest fan and I can be my biggest critic and my biggest enemy, but at the end of the day, the only person that I have to actually answer to is myself. And if I don't allow myself to forgive myself for the stupid things that have come out of my mouth, and then to ultimately love myself, my quirks and my qualities, then how could I possibly ever expect anybody else to love me as well? And so, as my biggest wish and desire for you, mama, and for all the mamas out there, to just give yourself some grace. You're doing a good job. And as long as you said something from a space of love and you really did just mean it from a space of, you
Kind
know,
of sarcasm, but but
so
I didn't go up there and say, why do you got to be such a
yeah.
friendly person?
Okay. So this was not a love-centered comment, which is interesting because I think that with every interaction or dynamic, when you, and I'm saying, I'll speak for myself, when I see something in somebody else that I don't like, for example, I was doing some consulting work for this woman, and there's so many great aspects about her. I just think she is just such a phenomenal teacher and a phenomenal leader, and she just like has this presence and this command. But there's a piece about her, like I cannot stand how unorganized she is, and I can't stand how long of a delay there is in communication. Like those two things drive me freaking crazy. And what I have to remember is like, oh, those things are only driving me crazy because guess what? If I'm honest with myself, I could be more organized
Me
and I could be
too.
better about following up with people in a more timely manner. So I share that wondering if the things that you're seeing in the other person that you didn't really like, that triggered that sarcastic comment, was because it's something about yourself that you haven't fallen in love with or don't fully like.
No. No, that's not true. I just thought she was quite friendly. I don't know. It's just something I'm trying to figure out. When I first started flying, um, I would feel like, oh, this person been married 3 times and have 7 lovers, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hope nothing happens to my marriage. This sounds like really crazy. And then I settled into the people more like me that are happily married. They miss their spouses. There are people in that industry, and I think this gal just didn't have a spouse, and she really enjoys just getting to. She took an hour and went up in the cockpit too, which you're welcome to do that, but then that leaves the other 2 people doing all the work. I just don't think anybody should take an hour and go up into the cockpit and just to visit. We're always welcome to do that if it's a long flight, but the other gal and I were like, yeah, we wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. So, yeah, it was just a bad trip. This trip's going to be better. She wasn't a bad person. She was a good person. I just felt insignificant. I think after she yelled at me. I don't think I felt insignificant prior to that.
And what did you do after she yelled at you?
I just like kind of fumbled and was like, well, no, no, no. I meant like we were talking and the other gal said that, you were single, so you could get away with it. We just like can. And so she took it wrong. And then she told the other gal that I said something. And then the other gal was mad at me. And
Well, what would have happened if you would have just said to her, hey, look, here's the deal. Like, we have this job to do. We feel like you're being a bit unprofessional. You taking a time out to go and hang out in the cockpit with the guys, put some
but
more
she
work
did that
on.
after she had yelled at me.
Oh, well, I'm just saying,
Yeah. So I'm
my
like,
point is that what would have been the worst case scenario if you would have just owned your voice, spoken your truth, said what it was that you needed? How would that change the way you're feeling right now? Like, it sounds like you're beating yourself up a little bit.
I am beating myself up. And I'm mad at myself for not being stronger. I didn't, and I was wondering, well, what is she thinking about herself if she thinks that little comment was like, who are you hugging on now? What is she thinking about herself and her actions if she's going to come back and say, well, I think you have the wrong impression of me, is what she said.
Yeah, well, you can't sit and spin your wheels about what she might think or do or whatever, because she's her own person, but you do get the opportunity to say, all right, I didn't really like the way I felt about myself by not speaking my truth.
Right.
And I'm just going to say that confidence isn't something that is innate and you're just born with. You have to build it. It's like strengthening a muscle in the gym. Like, you
Mm.
have to do those bicep curls repetition after repetition if you want to have the sleek, toned, strong arms. Same thing with confidence. You have to put yourself out there and share your viewpoint. I would please say do it from a tactful, love-centered space, but regardless, it's your viewpoint, and just continuously do it. And then with that persistent action, eventually it will strengthen. So this is an exciting time for you. This is great.
Yeah. I just wish I wasn't so nervous about going back out tomorrow. Like, it's so dumb. I'm probably gonna have like a fantastic crew and have a fantastic time. And, but I guess I'm worrying, like, do I have to not be my true self to make it work? Like, do I have to I don't know, Molly. It's just really been bothering me this week, and I don't even know how to get over it. But I
Mhm.
just wondered if anybody else ever had that situation where they're come up against a strong person, or if they're a strong person themselves, if they feel like the other people around them are maybe intimidated, or if they enjoy that they know they can tell the other people are intimidated if they enjoy it. Because this lady enjoyed it, because she after the flight she waited for me to go out. And then I stopped out of the jet bridge and put some things away, thinking she went on. She waited again a little further up. And then she kept trying to talk to me very fakely, but I just didn't want to go there. I didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted to be done. So I jetted off into the bathroom.
Mm.
So part of me feels like she was really seeing that she was intimidating me and she was enjoying it.
Mm.
I mean, do you think that sounds just far-fetched in my head, or
I don't. I mean, it's your perspective, it's your feelings. I'm not going to diminish the way you feel about it. If that's the way you felt, then maybe that's what was happening. But I think that it's what it is an opportunity for yourself and for the mommies listening who might have had similar experiences, is that no one else can take your power. You cannot give your power to somebody else. You are this creative, magnetic, wonderful force that gets to choose whether or not you're going to let somebody else affect you negatively or make you feel anything less than amazing and wonderful and confident and creative and all of the things. So I think this is great because it's an invitation to, one, have the self-awareness, which we are doing because we're having the conversation, and then now get to go and practice it and take your power back. And don't let any other situations. You could have.
I know there was a million things I could have done, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but I just avoided more confrontation. But now it's eating me up, and I'm complaining to you about it or getting advice from you because I just don't feel good about myself leaving that situation the way it was, or even starting it in the first place, whatever it is. So I'm thinking I'm going to take Katie's lead and be like, sorry you feel that way. Yeah. Sorry you feel that way.
You can't name drop and not tell our mommies who we're talking about.
This is my daughter. She's a flight attendant. So she's just like, just say, sorry you feel that way and just walk away. You can't go very far because you're stuck on the airplane, but that's,
take back
good lesson. Yeah, take back my power. I'm going to do that. I don't work tomorrow. I actually go to work, but I don't work until the next day. So on Friday, I'll be using my tools that you just gave me. Okay?
Rock on, mama. And for all of our mommies listening, please jump in on this conversation. We want to know, do you give your power away, or are you owning it? Are you allowing someone else to make you feel less than, or are you one of those courageous, confident women who are out there just doing you? Jump in on the conversation over at mindfulmamastv.com and check out our latest blog post.
See you later, Malls.
See you, Mom. Love you.
Bye-bye. Love you too.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Once Upon a Mama. Be sure to head to mindfulmamastv.com to join the conversation. Also, if you're a mama or a future mama-to-be, be sure to join the Mindful Mamas community on Facebook. This love-centered community of driven mamas from all over the world are ready to love, guide, and support you as you create a happier, healthier, wealthier life for you and your little ones. Mindful Mamas TV would like to take a moment to say thank you to our exclusive insiders. Your contribution, as little as $1 an episode, is what helps make this show possible. A portion of your contribution goes to the Unstoppable Foundation, a nonprofit humanitarian organization bringing sustainable education to children and communities in developing countries. Not yet an exclusive insider, but want to become one? Go to mindfulmamastv.com/connect to find out more.